Hey everybody, Chuck McGregor here, Parsons MILVET Director, and this is a new spotlight video showing what veterans in Parsons are doing to give back and to help others and transition to corporate America. And I'm really excited to have Bruce Davis with us today. And Bruce spent, 14 years here, has been with us with Parsons for 14 years, 15 years in the Marine Corps, and was a Naval Academy graduate. Bruce, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you. Looking forward to the discussion.
All right, so I always like to start this at the beginning. Bruce, tell us about where you grew up, some of your influencers growing up, and how'd you get to Annapolis?
All right, thank you for that question. I grew up in Prairie View, Texas. I was number 6 of 7 children. My parents and my grandparents were faculty and staff members at Prairie View A&M University. One of my first influences or exposures to the Naval Academy was when I was in 7th grade. I was acting up in class, and the teachers would punish us by sending us to the library to do book reports. And we could choose the book, though. So when I got there, I was looking for just any thin book. The thinnest book that I could find happened to be about the Naval Academy. And so I did a book report on the Naval Academy and set that aside. Now you fast forward to my junior year in high school. I took the PSAT exam. I did relatively well on it. My scores got released to various institutions. One of them was West Point. And West Point sent me a letter, and my father picked up the letter, and he said, "Bruce, are you interested in West Point?" I didn't have as much interest in West Point, but I was interested in the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy. Since I grew up in Prairie View, and the university had a Navy ROTC unit, my father got in touch with the naval instructors, and they got in touch with Blue and Gold officers in the Houston area, who made me aware of a summer seminar. I applied, was accepted, and I went and I fell in love with the place. So I attended. Another key influencer was my older brother, who attended the Navy ROTC unit at Prairie View. He stayed at home while he was going to college, and he would go on his summer cruises, and he would come back and he'd have neat stories. You see his uniforms. They would have drill up there. So he was just a key influencer in my decision to go to the Naval Academy. I've also had my father served in the Navy and in the Army. I have an uncle that was in the Air Force. So I did have others that made me think about the military service.
Gotcha. So you get to Annapolis, and plan A is to be a pilot, and plan B ends up being the direction that you go. How did that all work out?
Well, yes, I wanted to go to Naval Academy to become a naval aviator. After the amount of studying that I had to do, the daily grind, my eyes went bad. And at the time, we needed to be 20/20 in order to become an aviator. I mean, I wasn't the only one. It happened to many of us that attended. So, I had about a good 3.5 years to think about the other parts of the service. One of the other offerings was the United States Marine Corps. I did not have as much exposure to the Marine Corps, but when I was there, I was exposed to Marine Corps officers who were instructors and other members of the staff. And it was through those engagements where I decided that I would like to become a Marine officer. We went to Quantico during one of our summer training periods. And so that's what I decided to do, become a Marine officer.
So for your time in the Marine Corps, I know you were involved in Operation Desert Storm and deployed in that period as well. But what were some of the operational highlights that you went through with the Marine Corps back in the day?
Yes, thank you. So I would say that when I deployed with 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, and I was part of the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, we were deployed to Operations Desert Storm. It wasn't during the period of the heavy fighting. We were an infantry unit and a expedition unit that was brought in to relieve others when they came back. It was during the hot part of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
En route to Desert Storm, or to the theater, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines, and we were redirected to go with the evacuation and making the area more secure for U.S. activities in the Philippines, talking Clark Air Force Base and other interests.
Mm,
So we went there. We had teams of Marines to get classified material and protect our interests. After being there for a little bit of time, we then continued to deploy to the Persian Gulf, where we did training in UAE, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and we foreign Marines who were on the verge of helping UN inspectors go to Iraq by force if Saddam Hussein was not going to allow them in. Now he relented at the last minute, but uh, but those were a couple of highlights of that particular tour.
yeah.
Yes.
So from the if you look back at your Marine Corps time, what would you say were some of the highlights? Like what do you miss the most about the Marine Corps?
What I miss about the Marine Corps were the camaraderie, the other Marines that you work with, the sense of how decisions are made, the sense of teamwork. Um, I miss those things, and the level of engagement that you had. You brought many people in when you made decisions. It's not all directive. I mean, there's times when you do that, but I was in the Marine Corps at a time when we were implementing total quality leadership, and in the Marine Corps we call it, well, it was total quality management. In the Marine Corps we called it total quality leadership, and it was really about listening to your people, looking out for them, making sure that you had the mission, but you also, it wasn't about you knowing all the answers. It was really about listening to Marines and getting those lessons learned and reincorporating that into the decision loop of making increasingly better decisions, making the organization better over time.
Yeah, so useful even today in what we do here in Parsons, and supporting our customers and putting products out. Question for you. So from the how did you go from the Marine Corps into corporate America? What happened from an education standpoint, and what brought you to Parsons?
Yes, so when I was leaving active duty, my last couple of years on active duty, I was working on my MBA with Boston University at Camp Lejeune. I was also the operations and logistics officer for headquarters support battalion Camp Lejeune. So it was wonderful because I could work on my MBA, I could learn a certain theory, I could read a leadership book on the Marine Corps, and I had my Marines there to run my leadership experiments. So, and they were increasingly successful. I was also studying the total quality leadership at the same time. I had those responsibilities. And so we were doing some phenomenal things there uh, at Camp Lejeune. We were doing Marine battle skills training. Some of the things that we did there were being implemented Marine Corps wide. Uh, the inspectors would come in and say, hey, these are very great things that you're getting done here. Not me, but us. That's the other thing I miss about the Marine Corps, the language. It's more us. You rarely would use the term I and me and that. When I left active duty and I was interviewing with some firms, and they wanted to know what I did, I struggled with the term I, because I always felt like I was shortchanging a team if I said I did particular anything. I may have been in charge, but I always felt like the team is what I was looking out for, and I didn't want to shortchange and try to take credit for all that the team was doing.
That's that says a lot about you, Bruce. Honestly, you never told me that story before, but that's pretty powerful. And yeah, I mean, it's really great in the military how we're often surrounded by NCOs and staff NCOs that are really the yeomen putting in the hard work, and we're just helping with task and purpose.
Right.
And that's a beautiful part of it, if we're doing our job right. Oh, tell us about what you do here at Parsons, and then I'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the ways that you're giving back to the military community.
Okay. Yes. So I am a technical staff manager within the engineering department within Engineer Systems, and I report to Michael Zarlar. He's asked me to come back and help with diversifying the engineering talent within engineering. I also work on projects. I work on the talent pipeline coming into engineering, and I work on proposals from time to time. So that's what I primarily do, and yeah, I'm expecting to expand that in the coming months or years. So that's what I.
And in that capacity, I mean, we've had some meetings with Prairie View, talking about student veterans of America and just ways to engage and help vets there. Can you talk real quick just about how we've set those engagements up and what we focused on in those conversations?
Yes, Prairie View is near and dear to my heart. So I have some relationships back there that goes back several years. This one in particular, we were reaching out to the veteran student organizations. I really didn't know the gentleman that was in charge of that. So I, had to build a relationship with him. I know we wanted to get Parsons connected there. So without laying out a significant amount of history about how long I've had the relationship with Purview, I just built a relationship with him, make sure that he was comfortable with Parsons. He had he did his research, his due diligence on Parsons to understand where we were, and we had a couple of rounds of meetings to get him comfortable with us being involved. Now, not all, basically not all universities really want to have relations with all companies. I mean, we think we can knock on the door, hey, we're a corporation, but they check us out. Not all companies or not all entities mean well. So they checked us out, and we were able to do a student engagement activity. You were part of that. I was part of that. We had Corbin Banks, a Purview grad, a part of that as well. And we did that, but we expect to do more with them as well. At Purview is now one of Parsons' target institutions for recruiting. So we look forward to expanding what we do with Purview.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the key message that we had in that presentation we did was that we wanted to go there and not tell them about things being all rosy when you're making your transition into corporate America. So I think we called it not what you want to hear, what you need to hear.
Correct.
And brutal truths. And that was a really good message line that I think we had, and I love that reception that we got. So I can't wait to do more with Prairie View. Tell us about NNOA and what their mission is, and how you're plugged in to that great organization.
All right, thank you. The NNOA is the National Naval Officers Association. It was formed 50 years ago in Annapolis, Maryland, and it was formed to assist the Navy or the Sea Services with retention and recruitment of a diverse officer corps. I was involved for years when I was an active duty Marine at Camp Pendleton. I was a treasurer for the chapter there. We did fundraisers and other things. When I left active duty, I wasn't as involved, but when I came back to Parsons this second time, I was involved with a newly formed group about a year and a half ago, just about 2 years, called the Transition Assistance Team. And this group was formed to help those that are leaving the sea services, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, some of the smaller sea-related activities. If you're leaving after 4 or 5 years, if you're leaving after 30 years, there's uh, some things that you need to do to get ready for that eventuality. So our team would share our experiences, and we focused on 5 areas. It's business, it's nonprofit, academia, entrepreneurship, and a couple of others. So we have folks that are in those areas that can share our experiences. We have guest speakers and provide mentorship.
What's
Uh,
coming up next week?
yes, next week, the NNOA is having its 50th symposium, and it's in Annapolis, Maryland. And the symposium is an annual conference. The Navy and the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, senior leadership send messages to their installations worldwide, encouraging participation by active duty members to go to these conferences. And so you'll have junior officers that will go. They'll get some mentorship. They'll be connected. Uh, it has the highest level of attention in each of those services. The Commandant of the Marine Corps attends, the Chief of Naval Operations, and the Commandant of the Coast Guard all attend these conferences. And when you look at the list of speakers, it is, I mean, besides those that I name that are the senior staff in the military, you have others that were either former CNOs or others that are SESs or very senior individuals that will attend this conference. Parsons is going to have a table, a booth, and we are looking to get engaged with a couple of the luncheons, particularly the Marine Corps Day and Hoorah, and we're looking to have have some swag to help with the brand recognition, and we're also looking to recruit, to have these junior officers consider and others consider Parsons when they think about leaving the service. So yes, we're looking forward to that.
That really brings up a good point too. Before we get on to some of the other areas where you're volunteering, which is incredible. Which is it's never too early to start digging your well, and you should dig your well before you're thirsty. Is something that was said to me once, which was preparing early on, way before you get out, for that eventuality, as you said, and just getting ready. Building up your network, maximizing training opportunities, and that's very important before you get out. And then involvement in organizations like NNOA, SAME, different other charitable organizations are incredible ways to network, as well as just doing the right thing to help one another out.
Right.
Yeah. So you are also a blue and gold officer. Tell us about that.
Yes, blue and gold officers are individuals that are engaged with high schoolers and members in the community to get the message out about the Naval Academy opportunity. So when I left active duty, I worked in San Antonio. I worked at USAA, if you've heard of USAA. I think most have at this point.
Never.
I became a blue and gold officer at that point, and I visited high schools. I became an area coordinator, so I had responsibility for like a fifth of Texas, and then I was asked to serve on a area coordinator steering committee. We had oversight of the about 2,000 blue and gold officer volunteers across the country and international locations. So I did that for a couple of decades, actually, and it was fun, and so that was a neat way to give back to your community and to those that are looking to get into the naval service.
I'll tell you, Bruce, this has been a great session. I learned a couple of things about you I didn't know. But one of the things I just love, Bruce, is that you're engaged and you're giving in many ways, and you're not stopping, and you're not slowing down. And I encourage us all to take from the lessons and the example that you've given us. Bruce, thanks so much for your time today, and looking forward to continuing working with you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. You're up.